Welcome to Vital Trades. I'm your host, Andrew Dolder, President and Algorithmic Trading Engineer at Vital Trades. Today, I will show you how to get the Zorro trading platform up and running with the Microsoft Visual Studio C++ environment as soon as possible. Now note that Zorro does include support for a proprietary scripting language called LightC, which is similar to the C programming language, but the added support for Visual Studio C++ is incredibly useful for two reasons. One, you could use Microsoft's IntelliSense to instantly spot errors in your code. And two, Visual Studio has excellent debugging capabilities. So without further ado, let's get started. We will begin by downloading Zorro. So we go to zorro-project.com, go to the download tab, and then you could get the normal installation of Zorro by putting in your email, and then you will receive an email with a link to the download of Zorro. For this demonstration, we happen to have a release candidate for Zorro 3.11, so we will use that instead. We click on that, we download it, and we run the installer. Now, depending on which version of the Zorro program you got, you might get a warning that Windows protected your PC, but it's safe, so we run it anyways. It's now extracting some files. So here's some introductory stuff. Click Next. Agree to the terms, of course, read it, and so on. Put in your name. Okay, as for the installation directory, make absolutely sure that there are no spaces in the installation. So we're actually, for this demonstration, we'll put it in C:\Zorro, like that. We click Next. We associate the file types. There we go. So we click Next until it installs. Okay, so now we can see that setup is finished. With the installation of Zorro now complete, you can see that there is a Zorro link on the desktop, so you could double click on that. And here it is. We can see that we're running Zorro 3.11.2, but we're not running Zorro S, which is a required license to get in order to run C++. Okay, so now that we have Zorro installed, next we need to install Visual Studio. So we do a search for Visual Studio, and this will be the first match. We want to get the free download. So we click on Free Download, and we go ahead and install it. We save it, we run the installer. Next, we get a little message that says, before we get started, we need to set up a few things so you could configure installation. We click Continue. So it'll get the installer ready. We wait for that to finish. And now we need to select which components to install. The one component that we need is this one right here. Desktop development with C++. Make absolutely sure you check that. Now you could check the other boxes, but it'll make your installation very large, so you could always come back here and add more features on an as-needed basis. So we click Install, and then we wait. So after a while, this installation will finish, and then we will pick up the recording from there. So now we can see that the installation is finished. So when we're done with the installer, we could click on Visual Studio. It'll launch Visual Studio. We'll do it just to make sure that we could get it up and running. And if necessary, you might need to make a sign-in or a login of some sort. So take care of that, and then make sure that you could run Visual Studio first. I won't show this part. So having gone through that procedure of logging in, setting up my account, I am now able to use Visual Studio. So now we're ready to go. So although Zorro is free, You need to have a paid Zorro S license in order to use the Visual C++ integration. And so I will show you how to set it up. To do that, we go to the folder where we installed it. In our case, we put it in C:\Zorro, which is right here. And then we take a look at our Zorro ini file. We can see that we have all kinds of values set up by default, but the Visual C++ path is set to blank, and we also have the Zorro key set to blank. Now this is where you put your Zorro license. Now the problem with overwriting the Zorro.ini file is that anytime you reinstall Zorro, it will completely override your settings. So what we will do instead is we will place overrides that will be permanently saved. We will save it as Zorro fix. So the values that we are interested in overriding are VC path, so we delete everything else, VC path, and Zorro key. These are the two that interest us today. There we go. So we save it. So next we need to find out where the VC path is. So to determine it, we will go to the Start menu, and we will browse down to Visual Studio. Here it says Visual Studio 2026. We click on that, and we right-click on any of these native tools command props, more, open file location, and then we right-click on this, properties. Now, probably any of these four would have given you a similar output, but they should all work. But now, we want to find a path that looks like this. So let's take a look down here. I'm going to copy and paste the example path over here, and we will extract a very similar looking one over here. We highlight this, we copy, and we're just going to paste it down here just to compare. So we could see that the path that we need replaces a 2022 with an 18. So we will trim off this a little bit over here to make it look exactly the same. Now we will copy the one with the 18 and we place it under VC path. And now we don't need this anymore, so we clear that out. And then we click Save. Okay, finally we need to set up the Zorro key. So I'm not going to show you my Zorro key in this video, but I will note that once you get your license, you could place it here. So go ahead, purchase your license from Zorro, from OP Group, and they will give you the key. But I will just type super secret key. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to put the real key in here, and then I'll save it. And now for the moment of truth. We're going to double click on Zorro, and we can see that we have a registered Zorro S subscription. So now we will make a C++ script. So we will click on the script drop down, we will click new script, and we will save this as test_cpp.cpp. We save it. So we will turn this into a C++ file, a C++ script. First we add include Zorro.h. Next we go down here and we will add this macro, dllfunc. We will change this function to void. And as for our price, we will put a 0 here. For this script, that's all it took to make into it a C++ script. So we save it. Then we go to the drop down over here and we select test_CPP, click that, click test. Now we can see that it's compiling. That means the C++ compiler is working. And we could see that it ran a simulation with 26,000 bars. Okay, next we will take a look at the C++ file in the Visual Studio programming environment. So first we go to our Zorro installation, which is, in our case, C Zorro. We browse to the Strategy subfolder. Then we sort by modified. And we could see that it automatically created this VCX project file. So we double click on that and it will start Visual Studio. Now you may get a dialog talking about dependencies. So you click on any unchecked boxes, check that box and click Apply. Okay, next we make sure to go to the Solution Explorer. We expand this test CPP and we double click on the CPP file, which is over here. Okay, next on the top, we set the environment to x86, which is 32-bit. Okay, the next thing we will make sure we could do is that we could set debugger breakpoints, and then we start debugging. We click the local Windows debugger, we click it right here, and this should launch Zorro with this script. Or rather, it selects that script by default. So now we could click test, and sure enough, the breakpoint is set right here. And so we could step through just like this, just like any other C++ file. And you know, the run function is invoked multiple times, as with any Zorro program, any Zorro script. So we're just going to stop debugging here. And then just to show off one little feature, we're just going to add a printf right here. Printf new line hello world. Then we'll add a for loop. For int I is equal to 0. I is less than 20. And then I++. And then we will add a little printf statement with I. So we will say printf I is equal to %d, and then we put in I. There it is. And then we'll put a breakpoint over here. We'll run the debugger again. And now we could click test, and we could see that it's stopping right here. But let's take a look. Did it? See, it printed hello world. So if we step through one by one, here, let's resize this so we can see this a little bit better. I can't see my step buttons. Here we go. Here it shows, I'm just going to step 3 times. So I did 1, 2, and oh. Actually, let me just tweak the code real quick. So we will add a new line character here. We'll save again, we'll run the debugger. And just so that we could see it a little bit better, let's place the Zorro instance over here. And let me resize this so I could do my stepping. So we click test. And here we see it printed hello world. If we do one step, it says I is equal to 0. We do another, I is equal to 1. I is equal to 2. I is equal to 3. And by the way, if you hover your mouse here, you can see that I is now 4, which means the next time I click continue, it'll print off 4. And now this is 5. So here we could also see the local variables. For example, I is 5. So that demonstrates how to get Visual Studio C++ running for Zorro as soon as possible. I hope you found this demonstration helpful. If you would like to see more videos like this, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. This is Andrew Dolder with Vital Trades signing off.